true definition of Jehovah or Yahovah is revealed. Yah, H3050, means God. Hova, number H1942, translates to eagerly coveting, falling, desire, ruin, calamity, iniquity, mischief, naughtiness, noisome, perverse, very wickedness.
Same thing we've been teaching. Read.
Jehovah is synonymous with Baal.
With who?
Baal.
With Baal. Baal is the calf. Baal is the Babylonian worships. That's what the Catholic Church is worshiping, Baal. Read.
Bailey, number H, 1180, from Baal, with pronoun my master, a symbolic name for Jehovah.
A symbolic name for who?
For Jehovah.
That's why the Most High says, he tells us that we will no longer call him Belly, but Ishi. Belly is because our people started going off and was tricked into going back to the gods of Egypt, back to the gods of ancient Babylon. Ishi is Yeshua. Look it up. Yeshua is deliverer or savior. Read.
The Jewish encyclopedia Adonai and Baal reveals the name Baal apparently as an equivalent for the YHWH.
So it tell you even in the Jewish encyclopedia that the name of the Jewish God, Baal, is YH what?
WH.
WH. That's the word you would see when people say Yahweh or Yah. It's right in your face. Read.
Since the days of Jeremiah, the Jews have forgotten their God's name and replaced it with the title Baal or YHVH.
Jehovah. Read.
The lying prophets which think to cause my people to forget my name.
See, these are lying prophets. If we cause the Most High's people to forget his name, don't tell me his name is not important. You can try to downplay it and say, well, listen, it doesn't matter. You know, it's about this or it's about that. No, it's about the Most High and it's about truth. It's about all those things y'all saying, but it's also about the truth of his name too. So it's not no either or. It's all of it. Read.
Which think to cause my people to forget my name, as their fathers have forgotten my name for Baal.
They've forgotten his name for Baal. The Most High was upset with this. So how can you say it doesn't matter? Well, this is what's really important. Let me tell you what's important. If all the things the Most High have done for you, enlightened you and gave you your truth and shown you the light and told you that you was a child of Israel, a child of Abraham, and then you turn back through this and you give all his credit to Satan, that's a problem. That's a problem. Okay? So yes, you got all this rich information, slave ships and following the law and following this and keeping its commandment and Shabbat Shalom and all the other cultural things that come with Israel, holy days. What good is it if we flip it around and do it under Satan? What difference? We'll be doing the same thing our foreparents were chastised for. This is the reason we went into slavery, giving the other gods credit for what our God who delivered us did for us. Read.
YHVH and Baal both represent the god of sexual perversion and wickedness.
Hold up. It represents the god of sexual perversion and what?
And wickedness.
And wickedness.
Satan.
Satan.
However, Jews claim that this name, YHVH, is not to be spoken aloud.
But they say it's not to be spoken aloud. Why?
Despite God's command to declare his name throughout the earth.
Even though the Most High said, proclaim his name throughout the earth. The Most High didn't tell you don't say his name. Read.
In the reference, Exodus 9 and 16. Why ignore this commandment?
Why ignore the commandment of proclaiming the Most High's name? It's going to tell you why. Because that name is to be spoken by sorcerers and Kabbalists in witch circles. Years ago, around 4 years ago, I read a book that it's the witches actually have. It's called The Witch's Guide. I seen it in, I think, Tex Mars' book or something, where they talk about the Witch's Guide or something. It was one of the Illuminati books, and it had the Witch's Guide in it. And a brother went to a rummage sale, or he went to a yard sale and found the book and brought it. And I looked at the book. The highest name that the witches call when they do their circle and the 6-pointed star for sacrifice is Yahweh or Yahweh. That's what the witches use. That's the Witch's Guide. If you don't believe me, type in Witch's Guide and go through that book and see if you can get it, and you will see the God they call on in secret circles. This is the God of the Illuminati. Yes, this is the God of the Jewish powers. Now, let me put this there because I don't know this guy, but he brought forth some information we received about a decade ago that we were teaching out. We was teaching to the people, and no one wanted to hear it. But maybe they'll hear it if Henry Macau give it to them. Maybe they'll hear it if Henry Macau give it to them. Since they're so used to only accepting what the Jewish powers say to them. Now it's credible, right? They gave you Yahweh, they gave you Jehovah, they gave you the Masoretic text, and you accepted it, and you fought against your brother. No, it's called the Witch's Guide, G-O-D, the Witch's Guide, G-O-D. You fought against your brothers who told you the truth. And you upheld the God that the Jewish people gave to you. Maybe you'll accept this guy who studied the Illuminati, Henry Macau. Maybe you would listen to him, since you can't listen to your own brother. Since you don't have enough respect to talk to your brother and say, okay, let's do this together. So maybe you'll listen to them. That's everything we were teaching. This guy published. Look at it. Right? I want y'all to see that. Right? I didn't make this up. This is Illuminati 2, uttering God's name. Now look what it says about uttering God's name, and we have it in highlight. I want you to read it.
It says Judaism claims to be the authority on the Old Testament.
Judaism claims to be the authority on the Old Testament. Read.
However, they do not practice what they teach. They dress in black.
He says they dressed in black. He say, but they don't practice what they preach. First of all, they dressed in black. What else?
The color of death.
The color of death. It's like they go into a funeral. Read.
In spite of the scriptural precept to wear white.
And the scriptural precept is to say that we'll be made white. White as snow. Read.
Reject Christ as Messiah.
It says the Jewish people also reject Christ as the Messiah. Go ahead.
Who is prophesied throughout the Old Testament.
Who's prophesied throughout the Old Testament.
And refuse to speak God's name in violation of the scriptures. And
they refuse to speak the Most High's name in violation of the scriptures. They know the Most High's true name. You got to know the name if you're going to hide it. But they're afraid that the true people of God may embrace it and go against their God. And you have to realize the Most High made everything you see with the word. So when we speak that name, we bring forth life. We bring forth something to fight against our adversary. The adversary and his cohorts and his underlings have taken our greatest weapon from us. The connection with our God, the understanding of the importance of relating to him and speaking to him, and understanding that he have revealed the truth to us. All the understanding we have, and let me tell you out there, our brothers got a wealth of knowledge. Our sisters have a wealth of knowledge out there according to the word. But they'll turn around and give all that credit right back to the same people who've deceived them. And right back to the God who wants your soul. Christ wasn't praying to no Jehovah. He told those people who was praying to Jehovah and that was praying to those other gods, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. You were a murderer from the beginning. He told them. So those are the people, and with their doctrine, that have brainwashed us, who have watched us clearly, closely, through our captivity, knowing that one day we would stand and cleave to our God again before the great deliverance, as was when we came out of Egypt. He knew that we would cleave. They knew we would cleave to our God at the very end. You can't hide this for long. And they paid the articulate and smart and the smart people, or the people of high intellect. They have actually initiated them into their club, into their fraternity, to go against us, to be the authority, to keep our people asleep, even though the Most High is awakening us. And then, now that don't work anymore, because we're seeing through their illuminous powers, them being connected to fraternities and dealing with Satan and Masonry, now they're using psychotropic drugs. That's sorcery. Putting our people all on drugs now to try to disconnect them, giving us all types of things so that our brains are confused, so that we can't think soundly and connect to that God that's calling us. What else you have there, Reed?
It says, by reverencing their name of God.
By reverencing what?
Their name of God.
By reverencing their name of God. Go ahead.
YHVH.
YHVH.
By not speaking it, Jews create an air of mystery and holiness around the name, while enhancing the curiosity surrounding its pronunciation and power.
So by them not saying it in public, it makes everyone curious to why they have a name to themselves that they're not telling people. He say, here's the trickery they use. They'll tell you, we got the name of God and only we have it. And for the curious person who think that they're spiritual, they'll be like, man, I want that God too. Right? This is how they do it. They do it in Masonry. As you go through each stage, they say, listen, when you get to the higher stage, we're going to reveal the true name of God to you. We can't tell the public. So by sheltering this demonic name they have, it makes it enticing to those who want to be in the in crowd, who desire to know this secret name that they have, that they claim they can't tell anyone. Read.
When curious Jews and non-Jews alike.
When curious Jews and non-Jews alike
see the sacred tetragrammaton being used in occult practice.
They see it being used in occult practices. Read.
They are intrigued by the perspective that their sorcerers have harnessed the mystical powers of the name.
So they are intrigued by these sorcerers who have harbored the name. They see the power and they see the prestige that goes with them doing this. And people look at the Jewish people and say, look at them. They suffered all this, but they got so much. Look at the power they have. A God must be with them. And then they teach people in the church like that. Even though they don't know Jesus yet, God must be with them. Look how they're being blessed. When really, they are invoking their God. The same God that told Christ, that spoke to Christ and took him to the mountains at the pinnacle and says, listen,